Let's talk some trades next.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day. Like the video and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As we went over in our Wednesday episode, ESPN's Jeff Passan gave insight into how the trade market could take shape this offseason. In that report, he listed Cody Bellinger and Nico Hoerner as trade candidates, as well as several other players. So we're going to review those possibilities, maybe go over some proposals that could involve those two for some of the other names listed by Passan, and maybe even a few other names that weren't listed by him as well. Sam, where I want to address first with you.
Doing fine, thanks.
Are you like me realizing the Cubs might be really active in the trade market the next 2-3 months?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for checking out Locked On Cubs. You guys 20 to 30 minutes.
So let's start out with this. Before we start spitballing some deals,
Right.
let's talk about, and this has given me flashbacks to last Thursday into Friday. Let's talk about value. So Cody Bellinger.
Why did you say it like? Why do you say the word value?
Because
like that?
because that episode took me a long time to figure out these guys' value. That's why. And so it's repeating in my head a lot. And
Gotcha.
Jed with the spending and stuff. So the reason why Bellinger and Hoerner were mentioned in Passan's article, and that's something that the Cubs were probably comfortable with, is because they cost money. And so the Cubs, by trading these guys, the Cubs are looking for two things, especially with Bellinger. They're looking for financial flexibility and positional flexibility. Now, Cody Bellinger, in my opinion, has minimal to no major trade value, because the reason why is not only is he making 27 and a half, right?
27.5.
Not only is he making $27.5 million next year, but if he performs well, he's going to opt out the following year. And if he performs poorly, he's going to opt in, and you're stuck with a bad contract. So the only teams that really are gonna take on somebody like Bellinger are teams that are in win now World Series mode that don't mind adding some salary. I personally believe Bellinger's value in a trade is just getting off the majority of his salary. Maybe it's something like the Cubs eat about $8 million, the other team eats the 19.5, and then maybe the Cubs get something back. Hoerner's a little bit different. He's owed 23.5 over the next 2 years. That's a very fair deal for his type of production. But I also just don't think teams in this stage, we're going to talk about the Mariners. I don't think a team like the Mariners is trying to add a ton of salary. So I don't think any of these guys, there's a reason why neither of these guys made my top 10 trade value list, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
But it is beneficial for the Cubs to move them for financial flexibility, especially for Bellinger. The Cubs the Hoerner thing's fine if they bring that on. And then the positional flexibility. You move on from Nico Hoerner, you got a place for Matt Shaw. You move on from Cody Bellinger, you got different things you could do. What can you do? I don't know, but that's all I have to say so far.
Well, I like where you're going with this. I'm excited to hear your Mariners proposal because I have one as well. And it is based in Passan's report, just because he did list Luis Castillo as the likeliest to go. But here's the thing about that report, and I respect Jeff Passan. Castillo has a full no trade.
When he's making
And he's making $24 million.
Reason why he's listed there is because the team probably does that because he's the guy the team wants to trade, but there's another
They want to clear him.
Yeah, the Cubs don't want to take on $24 million bucks.
So let's start here.
But tell me your proposal. Tell me your proposal.
Well, I think the Cubs and Mariners could be a match.
They already are.
The Mariners need offense. They also have more than 5 quality starting pitchers.
And let me just throw in one caveat. The nice players we always talk about on the Cubs would be tremendous upgrades for the Mariners offense. Go ahead.
Yeah, they were putrid this year. They were in the bottom
horrendous.
3,
One
bottom
of the worst offenses in baseball.
The other player that stuck out to me amongst this list, because here I'll give you the whole list. There was Castillo, Alec Bohm, who I'm going to add on to in a minute.
Yep.
Garrett Crochet, out. Devin Williams, Ryan Halsey, Sonny Gray, Nolan Arenado. Those 4 are out because they're interdivision, right?
Yeah, most likely.
Josh Naylor, I have an interesting proposal for him.
Excited about to hear that.
Jordan Montgomery, thanks.
No.
Is it Brandon Lowe or Lau from the Rays?
Brandon Lau.
Okay, interesting, but
it's Brandon Lau and then I believe Nathaniel Lowe, and they're both on the same club.
All right, I'm not going to write that down, and don't quiz me later.
Okay.
Lamont Wade Jr.
Mm-hmm.
and Brendan Rodgers, okay? Alec Bohm is the one that popped off the page the most, followed by Naylor in terms of offensive players.
Yeah.
I think the Cubs in an ideal world would add a right-handed hitter with power as they're currently constructed.
Which Bohm has, I would say, a little bit.
He has a little bit because he slashed 280, 332, 448 with 15 homers.
Yeah.
He was a huge run producer. Again, a big part of that is because the team he's on.
Yeah.
With that being said, the number looks really, really nice. 97 runs batted in.
Uh-huh.
He's only making 8.1 M's in arbitration this year and is under control through 26.
Saw that.
Hassan said the Phillies want to shake up their team, but he plays third. So what happens to Paredes?
Right.
Unless it's some sort of like blockbuster deal.
Or a 3-teamer.
Basically, after doing this exercise, Sam, and it was fun. I try to have fun with this, and I enjoy the off season for as unknown the activity is going to be. I kind of get in my bag.
Boy, I'm really on edge waiting for this proposal here.
But I'll have to say, it's just so crowded. My proposal is Bellinger for Bohm. And/or if Hoerner isn't going to first of all, my proposal is actually Bellinger for Castillo. Because both salaries X each other out pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
But I like the Bohm idea for Bellinger if it wasn't so crowded on the infield. What I really like, though, is Nico Hoerner for Josh Naylor.
So a lot of 1-for-1s here.
And they both make the same amount of money.
How much does Naylor make? I don't know that answer.
12.
Okay.
Hoerner makes 11.5.
Yeah.
You get a first baseman with power, albeit a lefty, if they do desire right-handed power. Bush could move to second, or you put Shaw immediately right there. Or you can move Bush and acquire a pitcher, starting a relief pitcher. So they have options. And even though there is so much unknown, I guess the only takeaway I have at this point is if Jed Hoyer wants to run or help run the trade market, he could.
All right, so that's probably the most you've ever thrown at me at once.
I mean, they could completely disrupt their roster just via trade.
So, all right, let's start with Bellinger Bohm. That's probably the toughest one for me to see.
Yeah.
So, in order for that to work, like you said, Paredes is going to have to go in something separate, right?
Yeah.
And then the Cubs are obviously going to have to eat some Bellinger money. So it would be exactly what I was talking about in the beginning. Maybe the Cubs eat about 9. And so the Phillies are paying Bellinger $18 million or something like that.
Exactly.
The Cubs are paying Bohm and Bellinger about $17 million. And then so the Cubs are saving some money. They get Bohm, and then they would have to find another path for Paredes. And the question is does Jed really think Bohm is that much of an upgrade from Paredes? And my guess on that's probably that the answer is no.
Okay.
I like where you're at with the Castillo Bellinger thing. I don't think the Mariners would do that 1-for-1. I think they would probably want a prospect attached to that.
Okay.
But and then I don't know if the Cubs are want to bring that much money. I like Luis Castillo, but it seems like with him, there's always like he's cruising along, and then he hits a wall. He didn't have one of his better seasons last year. He's a good pitcher, though. He pitches a lot of innings. But I can see something like Bellinger maybe and like a prospect for Castillo if the Mariners really value him. But that doesn't get me really excited either. The Naylor for Hoerner thing would obviously be predicated then on Bush moving somewhere.
Right.
But here's mine.
All right, yes. Tell us about your.
So my trade proposal is going to look like this. Mariners, Cubs. What am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to accomplish either now. Let me say this. I would love if the Cubs could get rid of Bellinger's salary at some point. I don't think that happens in this type of trade because the Mariners, they don't want to add a ton of salary. But I like this. Nico Hoerner, Michael Bush, and then an Alcantara or a Canario type for Logan Gilbert. And so what that accomplishes is that you go, okay, you get a starter who could be a number one guy. He's also right-handed, under player control. I haven't looked at his salary. I could do it in a second. And then it's a 2-for-1. Now Matt Shaw slides in for Hoerner. Bellinger could slide in at first for Bush if you can't find an adequate trade partner for him. And then you open up some flexibility in the outfield. The question is, of course, I'm sure you're going to ask is, what are they going to do with that flexibility? Maybe that's just bringing in Casey. And I'm starting to lean towards talking about that for tomorrow's show about like, hey, can you win while developing young talent and trying to win now?
Oh, gosh.
So.
No, I get the question. It's just a little bit frustrating.
No, I get it. And the answer is yes, but you need like superstars. But anyway,
okay.
So that's a proposal if you can't find a Bellinger deal. But of course, the problem with that is you're giving up on somebody like Michael Bush a little early, and a lot of people like him. I think that's more the realm you go because you're getting a piece back that you really like. And then you're also opening up spots for some internal guys if you want to do that. The only problem with that for me is like, could you just go out and sign a guy like we talked about yesterday, Kikuchi,
exactly,
at 2 years, 30 M's, and then you don't have to give up those guys, but you might actually have to give up those guys so you can play the guys you want. It's very complicated. And folks,
yes, it is.
Folks,
they painted themselves into this corner.
You're going to hear a lot of this stuff. It's going to be a lot of outside the box. This is a really unique situation. And I think that's putting it in a positive light.
Yeah, they painted themselves in a corner. They boxed themselves in, whatever image you want to use. And Sam, just as we close out this segment, the Bellinger eating money part reminded me of the Yu Darvish trade, late 2020, and also because Owen Casey's name keeps popping up.
Sure.
He was the main return in that.
And that was a good return for that at that level.
Well, and they really did want to clear salary. Jed Hoyer was able to have the Cubs pay only $3 million of his $60 million left.
Yeah.
So that was in a way some shrewdness. If they could only pay 3 of Bellinger's 27, that's a massive win.
Yeah, it is.
And even you're saying 8, that sounds like a win too.
Yeah, and it's what we talked about before his decision.
Just a shame. It's a shame that we have to have this type of convo. Because again, like you said, it's complicated. If they trade Bellinger, who bats third? You can't answer it, right? That's a problem.
No, I can't.
That's a problem.
Suzuki?
You're going in the offseason without a 3-hitter?
Well, I don't
without
think
a 4-hitter as well.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like we keep talking
Hap Suzuki blank.
We keep talking about Bellinger like he's this terrible player. He's not.
Well, I haven't been.
No, well, you know what I mean. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we gotta get, but he's not bad at all.
No, he's good.
But where this team is at, I think they're just looking to get more bang for their buck at 27M.
Okay, I got to get out of here.
we
just
still
do
got
one segment.
We got a while to go.
Okay. No, that's a joke.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, what's a joke?
No, I don't know. I'm getting more fatigued by the financial conversation.
Well, just wait.
Bang
That's
for your buck. They're Bill Simmons said they're the 12th most relevant franchise on the globe, and they're pinching pennies. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. They're looking for value.
Let's go to the next segment. Coming up next.
Okay.
Cubs aren't winning any awards.
This episode, it's brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL and NBA action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL or NBA all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Matt.
Okay, yes, Sam.
The Bears spread.
Is it still a touchdown?
It keeps going down in favor of the Bears.
That's not right.
It's now 5 on FanDuel.
That's weird.
Which tells me, is there value in the beloved this Sunday at home against Green Bay? Now, I put out a poll question the other day, and I think we all could agree the worst case scenario would be like a hard fought loss. Right. Yeah. Because then people would be like, hey, they improved. And then maybe like the coach comes back or something. It's going to be a really interesting game right now. Green Bay -5.
Well, I have a good question for you.
Yeah, please.
Over under Bears win total 5.5.
Yeah, they'll get to 6.
Okay.
Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Remember, it's America's #1 sportsbook.
All right, did want to go over some award season things here because award season announcements did pick up again this week. All of the major awards, including MVP, will be announced next week. MLB really likes to stretch this out. Seiya Suzuki did not win the NL Silver Slugger. Remember, he slashed 283, 366, 482, 21 homers, 27 doubles in 132 games. Well, in the outfield, Jackson Merrill, Teoscar Hernandez, and Jerickson Profar won.
That's what I figured it would be.
In the outfield, Sam. Your initial reaction to that?
That's what I figured.
And did you know that in wins this year, this is the case for most players, but the discrepancy here is over 100 points. In wins this year, Sam, Seiya hit 336.
Yeah.
In losses, 223.
Yeah, and right. It's the same in most players, but it's also telling because it just feels like to the eye test with Seiya when he's hitting well, when he comes to the plate and you feel like something good's gonna happen and he's hot, it just feels like the Cubs are taken to another level. And we sit here. And for the next 2 months, we're going to be talking about trades and value and finances and all this good stuff. But there's a real case to be made that no matter what they do, that's the key to the season. It is him finding a way to get to that next level. How many games did he play this year? Like a buck
132.
Buck 30. Getting to 145 games, getting to 30-plus home runs, getting to 100-plus RBIs, batting 290, having that OPS sitting almost around 900. That might be the jump that they need in order to get to where they want to go, despite the 80 different, wheel and deal trades that they try and make.
Shota Imanaga did not finish in the top 3 of NL Rookie of the Year. The finalists were announced earlier this week. And the winner, again, will be announced next week.
It'll be Paul Skeens.
Top 3, Jackson Chourio, Jackson Merrill, Paul Skeens.
Yeah, Paul Skeens will win that award. I'll say this.
I was hoping Imanaga would get a podium spot.
Well, I'll tell you why he didn't. When you just look at the numbers, he should have been there ahead of Churio. But I think his age and professional baseball experience probably influenced some of that because, where he came from in the NPB, that's it's not the big leagues, but it is a really high level league. And he played there for so long. I just don't think people look at him as much like a rookie.
Got it. All right. That's it for award season.
That's it. That's a low. Let me tell you this.
I think Michael Busch will finish top 10 in Rookie of the Year.
Top 10, sure. Great.
Yeah.
I think.
And Imanaga will finish top 10 Cy Young, right?
Absolutely.
Will Steele?
No, I didn't pitch enough.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I think that next year at this time, if you skip ahead and you miss the whole season and you tune in to this very segment and you see this again, it means we didn't have a good season. We need to have guys. I know we probably top 3 MVP is hard to ask.
It's a tough episode.
But how about a couple guys in the top 10 for MVP, a top 3 Cy,
right.
Matt Shaw, top 3 Rookie of the Year. Those
absolutely.
Type of things. That's how you win.
Silver Sluggers, Gold Gloves.
Sluggers, couple of those, couple of Gold Gloves. How about a Manager of the Year for the $40 million man?
50 steals, PCA.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
It translates to W's.
All right. Well, good show. One more segment. Sorry about that. Hey, speaking of prospects, Moises Ballesteros is still raking, plus a couple other updates. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Select Quote, the World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics. The world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing, teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. Select Quote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find the right policy to keep your financial legacy safe in your family's end zone. In sports, winning is everything. That's why you always need a good strategy to keep moving towards the goalpost. Winning strategies for life are just as important. And that's why you should have life insurance through Select Quote to protect your legacy and your family's financial future. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less. With Select Quote's licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon to get started today with Select Quote. In 18 games in the Arizona Fall League, Cubs prospect Moises Ballesteros is slashing .320, .386, .560 with 5 home runs. Other offensive prospects over there, Jonathan Long hitting .329 and Ben Cowles, a second piece, along with Jack Neely in the Mark Leiter Jr. trade. Cowles is hitting .211. And he is one of about 5 candidates, which I'll go over next week with you, Sam, who needs to be could be added to the 40-man. That needs to happen by Tuesday if the Cubs want to protect him and those few others from the Rule of 5 draft. That deadline is Tuesday, and then next Friday is the non-tender deadline.
I want to add something for this show because I think it's important to say.
All right.
This situation that the Cubs are in typical fashion, when you have, these are what they call in the industry, technically, good problems, when you have a lot of players for a lot of spots.
Yeah.
Here's why we're down on it. The guys that are here, it's an 83-win team. If this were a 90-win team, and we were trying to open up spots for Shaw and figure out all these trades and things like that, it's because back-to-back years they won 83 with this core group of guys, and we don't really know which guy's the problem because there isn't. They're just all the same. So it's kind of this tricky situation because really, historically, traditionally, when you have too many guys for one spot, hey, that's good depth. That's a good problem to have. You'll trade guys. And I do still think there's an element of that. I do still think there is organizational health. I just think us people that cover the team are kind of just like, yeah, but like, we got to do this and do this, and we got to keep this guy. And we just know that these guys, we all know what they are because they've been 83 win players. And I just think we're all very scarred from May and June of 2024. And we're just kind of like, all right, so we can bring back this guy. Great. But like, and so nobody is going to have this glass half full. Everything's good. We're a healthy organization. Things are looking up like Jed wants us to until we see the victories on the diamond. And that's just that's how it goes. And so all these creativity, wheeling and dealing, all these things. Hey, outside of the financial restrictions, that's fine. That means we got a lot of guys and a lot of options. But until we convert that capital into W's, it's just a little bit fatiguing.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Well said. And thank you for that, Sam. And thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh.
Frozen pizza tonight.
The way, be sure to hit some.
I'm excited.
All right, that's appropriate. I'm just going to end the show.
Okay.
Sam Olber, Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.